Hey, I'm back. It's me, Dr. Lauren Pitts Bounds, licensed couple marriage and family therapist. And this is the, what's today? March 7th edition of Dr. Pitts Tips Live. Hey y'all, how you doing? You having a good week? How's life treating you? You being kind and loving and wonderful and amazing to everybody? For those of you that may be tuning in for the first time, I want to make you aware that the reason why we do this is because my social media manager said, Dr. Pitts, we've got stigmas. Folk don't make a difference whether they're black, white, brown. Folk don't want to come to therapy. So why don't we bring therapy to them? I said, that's not a bad idea. Let's bring therapy to them. So what I do is every Thursday at 7 p.m., I come and talk to you to share with you things that I know some of you, if not all of you, are going through in your day-to-day life. And you don't want to go to therapy. You don't want folk all up in your business. You don't want to talk about nothing. You got all the answers, but you're still going through all of this stuff day in and day out. So here I come to give you some insight about how to be a better you, how to have stronger, healthier, more loving, fulfilling relationships, not just with an intimate partner, but period. Whether it's with your children, with your mama and them, with your daddy and them, with your girls, with your boys, it don't make a difference. There is room for improvement in all of our lives. And tonight we are going to talk about attitudes. Yep, I said it. Attitudes in relationships. Now, y'all know that Dr. Pitts is the queen of vulnerability and transparency. I absolutely positively at this stage of my life do not have a problem telling y'all like it is. This is what I've been through. This is where I'm at. This is why I am the way I am now. And I'm here to tell you that there was a particular point in time in my life where my family members called me Eveline. And let me just go ahead and put the disclaimer. That was years ago. It was years ago. But there was a point in time where my attitude was stank. My attitude was just mean and nasty, and I was moody and hateful and miserable. Really? You, Dr. Pitts? I really, really was. I was not the happiest person to be around. I whined, moaned, groaned, complained. I blacked out. I flipped out. I acted a fool when things got on my nerves, when things didn't go my way, when stuff didn't turn out the way I expected it to, or whatever the case may be. My attitude was horrible, 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 horrible. And I could go from sane to nuts in about 2.3 seconds flat. And chances are I was going to tear up some stuff because I was gone. So that's what I want to ask you. I've got some questions for you tonight. I want you to be honest. You don't have to be honest with me. I don't have no heaven to help put you in if you believe in either one of those. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to criticize you. But I do believe that you are worth being honest with yourself, because I believe that you deserve to be the absolute best version of yourself that you can be. And if you're not willing to be honest with yourself about where your opportunities for growth lie, then how can you ever walk in the fullness of who you were purposed and predestined to be? How can you ever reach your full potential if you're not willing to be honest about what your flaws are and what you need to be working on? So, do you have a nasty attitude? Do you have a bad attitude? What causes people to have a bad attitude? And here's a sidebar. Have you ever met some hateful, nasty, mean kids? What does that look like? I can't tell you how many times I've worked with clients and we're talking about the sense of self-work, and they tell me, whoa, hold on for a second. Crap. My volume was off. Okay, so I don't know if y'all heard a word I said. So, why do people have bad attitudes? People have bad attitudes for a variety of reasons. It could be trauma, it could be learned behavior, but in psychology, we're taught that an attitude refers to a set of emotions, beliefs, and behaviors toward a particular object, person, thing, or event. Attitudes, thank you, sir. Attitudes are often the result of your experiences or your upbringing. They can have a powerful influence over your behavior and affect how people act in various situations. So you have to sort of take a step back and really ask yourself, what is my attitude? Do I need an attitude adjustment? And why do I have a bad attitude? And y'all have heard me say, for those of you that listen to my podcast or, even listen to lives, you've heard me say several times that people say, it's just who I am. You know what, this, just deal with it. No. I don't have to deal with your stank attitude. I don't have to deal with you being a fire-breathing dragon. I don't have to deal with you going from 0 to 100 in 1.2 seconds flat. I don't have to deal with that. And what a lot of people fail to recognize is that people will handle you based on your attitude. If people know that you are prone to act a fool and to rip their head off when they're attempting to just have a basic conversation with you, or they're attempting to bring something to your attention that maybe they didn't like because you violated one of their boundaries or whatever the case may be, that's going to be a problem. And then, what happens? You walk around acting like, everybody's wronged you. Nobody wants to talk to you. People think that you're mean, or people think that you're insensitive, or people think that you have a short fuse, or whatever the case may be. But do you? I remember when I was a kid, my grandmom used to say, if one person tells you something, you might be able to just be like, yeah, your opinion is your opinion, and you're entitled to it. If two people tell you something, then, maybe I should pay attention to that. Maybe I should sort of reflect upon what they're saying to see if there's some truth to what they're saying to me about me. But if 3 or more people are telling you, you got a nasty behind attitude, why are you carrying that nasty attitude around with you like a badge of honor? Why do you think that it's okay to give people your butt to kiss? Why do you think that it's okay to rip people's head off for the slightest little thing? Why do you think that it's okay that just because it's your opinion, you have to talk about it in such an aggressive or a passive aggressive way? Do you like intimidating people with your growl and your bark? Do you like people, shying away? I would suggest from a clinical perspective that some people have a nasty attitude because it's a defense mechanism. It's their pain talking. They're what you've heard me say time and time again. You're the walking wounded. And how you hold yourself back from healing and growing and evolving and being the best version of yourself that you can be is you breathe fire, you bark, you bite, you pretend to bite. You're just mean, hateful, and nasty. But in actuality, what you really are is hurting. And you don't have the courage, I said it, you don't have the courage, nor are you willing to muster up the strength that it takes to navigate the healing process. So instead of being honest with yourself and other people about the pain that you're experiencing because of life circumstances, you growl, you bark, you bite, you fight, you're passive aggressive, you're aggressive. But how will you ever truly experience the love and the acceptance and the joy and the peace and the happiness and fulfillment that many of us who don't have nasty attitudes are experiencing. How will you ever do that if you're walking around burning everything down in your path with your mouth or your eyes or your hands? Think about that. Think about how much love you've missed out on, how much like you've missed out on, how many opportunities that you've missed, how many promotions have you missed because your superiors at work think that you're argumentative and combative and contentious, and the only reason why they haven't gotten rid of you is because there's a union. The only reason why they haven't gotten rid of you is because you do good work when you're not ripping somebody's face off. How many of you parent that way, where your kids are mean, hateful, and nasty because you're mean, hateful, and nasty, and then you take issue with the fact that your kids model the very behavior that you've demonstrated for them, and every time you turn around, you're threatening to knock your kid's head off or you yoking them up in their chest. Well, they're you. Parents get driven crazy when I say that when I'm doing family therapy or when I'm working with parents about how to improve their relationship with their children. I said, hey, she's such and such, or he's such and such, the same thing. Well, how'd they get that way? They didn't come out the womb with a bad attitude. They didn't come out the womb being disrespectful. They didn't come out the womb talking to folk any old type of way. But you know what happens? You taught them how to be that. And they talk to you like that. They talk to people in the street like that. They talk to their teachers like that. They talk to administrators like that. They can't keep a little job at McDonald's or Wendy's or wherever the heck it is they're working because of that mouth. Because their supervisor told them to dump the fries, and they rolled their eyes and sucked their teeth and clicked their nails. I ain't gonna keep dropping these fries. I ain't telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what now. I used to teach high school. Just nasty. Kid nasty. Mama coming up to the school, nails clacking, slippers sliding, cussing the administrators out, cussing the principals out. And every time you turn around, your kid's getting suspended from school because of their mouth. Or because they're threatening and intimidating folks. So what's the root? What is the root? In other words, the cause and the effect of a bad attitude. I'm hearing a lot through clients and through family members and friends. You know, Dr. Pitts, you know, Lauren, life is lifing. What does that mean? You know what life is lifing means? It means that life is full of unpredictable experiences. Life is full of situations and circumstances and flawed human beings that you don't have power or control over. Life is full of illnesses and diseases. Life is full of past trauma and present trauma. Life is full of mental health predispositions to depression or anxiety. Life is lifing in such a way that, particularly when you don't take the necessary steps to develop what we call pro-social coping skills, it adversely affects your mood, it adversely affects your experiences, and it adversely affects your relationships with others. Many of you are familiar with the term reaping and sowing. If I were to put it in secular terms, I would say the law of circulation. I would say karma. I would say you get what you give. How can you rip somebody's face off because they didn't do what you wanted them to do, and then think that they're going to be all skins and grins and all rah 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 and I love you and want to spend time with you? Why do you think that that's the case? Why do you think that your husband or your boyfriend works so much overtime and would rather be at work or hanging out with his boys than at home with you? Why do you think that your children would rather be at grandma and grandpa's house, would rather be at auntie so-and-so's house, would rather be at their best friend? They would rather be anywhere under the sun but near you. I'm sure this is hard to hear, but if nobody in your life is loving you enough to tell you the truth, if nobody in your life is loving you enough to hold you accountable for healthier conduct, for a healthier attitude, I have an obligation. And I do this work because I genuinely and sincerely want people to be healthy, to be happy, to be stronger, healthier, better versions of themselves. I'm gonna walk you through a couple of clinical things that I want you to think about that'll be instrumental in helping you to have a healthier and a more positive attitude. I want you to reflect upon your self-talk. In other words, when a situation happens, what are you saying to yourself in those moments? Are you talking to yourself in a negative way that keeps you in that negative headspace, i.e. affecting your attitude? Or are you being deliberate and intentional and talking yourself off the ledge? I would suggest that some of you like being pissed off. I would suggest that some of you like being nasty. You think it's cute. You think that, it makes you hard. It makes you tough. It shows how, you can hold your own in the street. I think that's a limited way of thinking. I think that you're selling yourself short when you think that the best way to navigate life is in this negative, nasty headspace. So you have to be willing, if you want to grow. This is only for people who actually want to grow and evolve and become stronger, healthier, better versions of themselves. You have to listen to your self-talk. You have to be willing to identify, what am I saying to myself at any given time that is keeping me with a negative attitude? I'm not going to say or even, try to convince you that changing your attitude for the better is easy. It's not. It takes work. It's practice. You didn't come out the womb with a nasty attitude. You learned it. And you're as nasty as you are today because you've practiced being nasty. You've practiced using it as your defense mechanism. You've practiced not being sweet and kind and loving when you've had opportunities to do that, and you're now at a place and space in your life where you default to stank. But I'm here to tell you that a big part of how you can break that habit of having a bad attitude is by holding yourself accountable for what you're saying to yourself in times of adversity. And those definitions of adversity are up to you. It could be traffic. It could be your kids not doing what you told them to do. It could be your partner not doing what you told them to do. It could be your money being funny, your change can be strange. It could be any number of things. It can be any number of things. But what are you saying to yourself in those moments? And is the negative stuff that you're saying to yourself, is it causing you to escalate and perhaps create problems for yourself in your relationships and in the situation and circumstance that's contrary to how you really want to be navigating your life. I want you to think about it this way. A positive attitude paves the way for healthy relationships, for healthy experiences, for prosperity and good fortune to come your way. So you have to be willing to look at, how is negative thinking impacting my life? How is negative thinking impacting my attitude? Are you the person that takes the most trivial thing, as my grandma used to say, you are the king and queen of making mountains out of molehills? If that's you, I'm talking to you. You have to realize that how you cultivate a positive attitude, even when things are happening that you don't like, is you have to take responsibility for your own feelings. My husband and I were talking, well, we talk all the time. We have some really deep conversations literally almost every day of our lives. But, you know, we were talking last night at dinner about how some adverse experiences that I've gone through in my life, part of what helped that situation, to not escalate to something a lot more problematic, was I didn't react. In other words, just because somebody was screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing and fussing and saying some really mean, nasty, hateful and offensive things to me, even though the things that were being stated were very, very hurtful, I was being verbally attacked. I was being verbally and emotionally abused in that particular situation that we were discussing. But I said to him, I didn't react. I did not scream, yell, hoop, holler, cuss. I didn't do any of that. I let the person say what they needed to say, and I chose to not take ownership of the negative things that they were saying to me. Why? Because I knew that the things were being stated were coming from a place of pain, that even though all of that anger, all of that pain, all of that rage, it was being projected onto me, but it was not mine to take ownership of. And let me just tell you, I wasn't a therapist back then. This was several years ago that particular incident happened. But when I got to a place and space, and I can tell you where the shift happened for me, I've mentioned it before, particularly on my podcast. At the age of 25, I'm 56, I'll be 57 in November. At the age of 25, I had a huge life-transforming experience that made me realize that if I didn't get my head on straight, if I did not begin to do the necessary work to improve my attitude, I was going to self-destruct. Hey, family. I was going to self-destruct. And I didn't want to do that. I needed to be able to live and be the best version of myself that I could be for my son, for my parents, for my siblings, for my other family members and friends that I loved and cared about. But most importantly, I had to be the best version of myself because I believed that that's what God was calling me to. You hear me say all the time, I'm not pushing my belief systems onto you. You can believe what you want to believe. You can serve what you want to serve. That's up to you. I'm telling you what contributed to my transformation from a bad attitude to a positive attitude, from negative thinking to positive thinking. All the people that I loved and cared about, that I did not want to be a part of their pain, but I also didn't want to disappoint God. That was me. You have to decide, what is the motivational factor for you that is going to be instrumental in helping you to improve your attitude. So what do I mean when I say take responsibility for your own feelings? At some point in time in your life, folks, you have to stop playing the blame game. You have to stop projecting and transferring and externalizing all of your crap onto everything and everybody else. And let me just clarify before you all go left and start bad mouthing me and I can't hear you. This is not in any way suggesting that the people that have hurt you are excused from their behavior. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that just because somebody is behaving a certain way does not mean you have to reciprocate. Two wrongs, my mom used to say all the time, two wrongs will never make a right. The problem that some of you are running into is similar to the problem that I ran into growing up, is that you're being raised in environments according to double standards. The do as I say, not as I do. Hello, that don't work. That don't work. It don't work. Children model what they see. You can talk until your head pops off. At the end of the day, your children are going to model what they see. Many of you, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever age you are still, in many ways, in various aspects of your life, you are modeling what you saw growing up, good, bad, or indifferent. And you know I'm right about it. You ain't got to co-sign it. But it's the truth anyhow. You are a replica. And the only way you can change your image, what you look like, what you feel, how change, is you have to choose that you are not going to be a negative replica. You can take all the good stuff. You can take all the good stuff. But you get to decide. You get to be mature enough, responsible enough, adult enough to grow the bloop up and make better choices. For the life of me, I'm always blown when I'm working with parents who were abused, neglected, or mistreated, or even if they didn't experience trauma growing up, they can say to me, you know what, Dr. Pitts, when we're processing discovering the power of the past and the things that they went through and why they are the way they are. And they say, I hated my mom, or I hated my dad, or, my dad was this, or my mom was that, or my grandma was this, or my foster parents were that and the other. And they hated it. They hated how they were treated when they grew up. But they turn right around and do the same darn thing, as if to suggest that they have no power and control to do anything different. Help me to understand that. Help me to understand why people will not consciously, it's hard, boop, bloop. No. Your dad drank whiskey. You drink vodka. Oh, you gonna tell me you don't have no children? So why ain't you drinking whiskey? That's all your pops drank when you was growing up. He was drunk off his bun-buns. My husband's word. He was drunk off his bun-buns, drinking whiskey. And you don't want to drink whiskey. You drink vodka. You know why? Because it's your choice. So, just like you can choose your drink, choose your attitude. You can choose right now, here today at 7:28 p.m., Thursday, March the 7th, Eastern Standard Time, that you're going to change your attitude on purpose and intentionally. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. Remember these kids? I double dog dare you. I double dog dare you to make a conscious decision today to start practicing every single solitary day whatever you need to do to improve your attitude. But you know what? You know why some of you are not going to do it? You're not going to do it because you self-sabotage. You know how you self-sabotage? Self-pity. Dr. Pitts. You don't know what they did to me. You don't know what they said to me. And Let me just say this. I'm the last person on earth that will ever make light of somebody's trauma. I'm the last person on earth that would ever make light of someone's pain, of their adverse experiences, of the grief and loss that they've experienced, of the betrayal, the violation. I would never. I just won't do that. But what I will do is hold you accountable for not being enslaved to an emotional or physical corpse. Many of you have chosen, because it is a choice. It's a choice. Just like you choose to get up and go to work every day, you choose to eat chocolate ice cream instead of vanilla ice cream, you choose to go to McDonald's instead of Whataburger. Whataburger's here in Texas. You choose to, to drink vodka instead of whiskey. You choose to eat chocolate cake instead of carrot cake. Choose. Choose to heal. Choose to forgive. Choose to not wallow in self-pity. When you choose to wallow in self-pity, you have made a conscious choice to damage yourself continually and to damage your relationships, and ultimately you damage your attitude because you're navigating life as a victim instead of a survivor. I don't know what to tell you. That's what it is. How long are you going to choose to stay bound to the pain of your past? How long are you going to continue to punish your current partner, your children, your friends, your family, your coworker? How long are you going to continue to inflict on others and yourself? How long are you going to punish yourself and others because of the pain of your past when it's not necessary? How long? How long are you going to stay bitter because of what happened to you at 5, at 10, last year? How long? One of the things that we used to, I'm sliding down the chair, my back hurts. One of the things that I used to teach on when I was doing groups, I used to work inpatient drug and alcohol. And one of the things that I used to teach on is, for many of the people that I worked with in that setting, the people that violated them were dead and gone. Dead and gone. And their explanation for why they were addicted to drugs and alcohol was because they were trying to numb the pain. The person's dead. They're no longer hurting you anymore because they're dead. And you are now choosing to surrender your power to a corpse. For many of you, your violator is still living and breathing and walking the face of the earth. But they're not losing sleep over the fact that they've hurt you. They will see you, hey girl, what's up, AC? They act like nothing ever happened. And you are bitter and nasty and hateful because they never apologized, because they never acknowledged what they did to you, because nobody did. But here's something I want you to think about. If that apology never comes, if that acknowledgement never comes, do you realize that even though that person is no longer hurting you, you have given them the power to keep hurting you, except they are no longer an active participant in violating you. So who's responsible for hurting you now? Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. In many of your situations and circumstances, you have become extremely comfortable scapegoating the person that hurt you in the past. You have become comfortable not taking responsibility or accountability for your own bitterness, for your own resentment, for your own forgiveness. And I believe the reason why you won't take responsibility and accountability for that is because doing that is scary. You think, you've convinced yourself, you have embraced the cognitive distortions that are defining how you think, feel, function, and navigate life. You believe that if you make a conscious decision to take ownership of the condition of your life now, that it's somehow letting them off the hook. And I would tell you that it's not about letting them off the hook. It's about letting you off the hook. There comes a point in time where you have to acknowledge, it's a phrase that I coined, it just came to me at the end of last year. I said many of the people that I work with, and even members of my family, and some of my friends too, no disrespect, not trying to disrespect anybody, it is what it is though. Many of the people that I interact with personally and professionally are terrified to let the pain of the past go, because that means that they now have to take ownership and responsibility and accountability for the condition of their life. And they're afraid. They don't even know whether or not they can be successful. Their healed self is such a foreign concept for them that they just stay engulfed in that pain. But I'm here to tell you, as someone that made a conscious decision many years ago to heal. And let me tell you when my healing trajectory began. I was 18 years old. 18. When I said to my mom, I think I need to talk to somebody. Meaning about my problems, about my pain, about my deficiencies, about my inadequacies, about my fears, my trauma. And my mom said to me, you're determined to be the first person in this family who's crazy. The first woman, actually. I said, no, I'm determined to be the first woman that's not crazy. And I'm not suggesting that all the women in my family are crazy, but a couple of them are questionable. Let me just go ahead and say that. And they know it. So you can get mad, say whatever. I'm going to speak the truth anyway. I OD on truth serum. But the reality of it is that I don't know everybody in my family's business. I don't need to, because it's none of my business. But what I do know is growing up, therapy was not a thing. And as far as I know now, therapy is not a thing. As far as I know, I'm the only therapist in the family, and there's 6 generations of my family living. So, what's that tell you? But I started my healing journey at the age of 18, and I needed to do that. I needed to begin the process of being a stronger, healthier, better me. And what I learned in the process is that as I became more serious, more deliberate, and more intentional about healing, my attitude improved. and my relationships improved. I remember, and I don't even know, I'm not going to say any names, but I'll share this. Um, One of my cousins told me, this was several years ago, but one of my cousins told me that she had seen my son's father at Cowtown. And at the time that for those of you in Jersey, Cowtown is or for those of you not in Jersey, Cowtown is like our big flea market. But she had seen him at the flea market. And it was at a point in time where I had some time under my belt, if you will, that I had been really, really working really hard to heal and to evolve and to be a stronger, healthier, better version of myself. And what he commented to her was how different I was, and how much easier it was to deal with me at that time as the mother of his only child. And it was just, in essence, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but in essence, it was a blessing. It was a blessing to see, because one of the things that has always been constant about him is that he saw me for who I am today. It's like he saw me for who I am today, and as I reflect on conversations that I have with my husband now, and we talk about, seventh grade and eighth grade and back then, it's like when my husband and I connected for the first time in 29 years, he wasn't surprised. He wasn't surprised about the things that I had accomplished and the things that I was doing and the things that I was aspiring to do, because he had always seen me based on my best self. But I didn't see me as my best self. And because I didn't see me as my best self back then, my attitude was a reflection of how I felt about myself. And I projected all of that self-loathing. I projected all of those feelings of inadequacy and insignificance. I projected and transferred all of that negative energy in the form of a bad attitude onto everything and everybody. The healing trajectory was instrumental in helping me to take responsibility and accountability for how I was handling the adversities in life. It was helping me to take responsibility and accountability for all of the unforgiveness and the bitterness and the resentment and the hatred that I was harboring. It caused me to own my junk. No relationship, let me rephrase. No healthy relationship can survive a bad attitude. No healthy relationship can survive resentment and self-pity and blame and unforgiveness. No healthy relationship is going to survive that, because those behaviors, those attitudes, those negative emotions, those toxic elements, not only do they erode your sense of self, but it shatters your children, it shatters your partner, it shatters your finances, it shatters your peace of mind, it shatters your sanity, it shatters literally every aspect of your life. You will not be able to successfully live a happy, fulfilling, and sustainable life with a bad attitude. A bad attitude is cancer to your relationships. It's cancer to your overall well-being. So, Dr. Pitts, you done said all this. You done kicked our back in. You done held us accountable. And who you think you are anyway? Let me tell you one more thing. Well, I'm going to tell you one more thing. I'm going to tell you how to get rid of your bad attitude. And I'm going to go into my next session because I got work to do. Number one, you got to put your big boy panties on. Not big boy panties, your big boy boxers. Sorry, fellas. Sorry. I'm human. I'm a human therapist. Have to put your big boy boxers on, your big girl panties on, and a cincher if you need to. And take responsibility for your thoughts and actions. It's on you. Don't tell me what somebody made you do. Don't tell me that the reason why you behaved in an immature fashion is because they behaved immaturely. Don't tell me that the reason why you were screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing, and fussing is because they were screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing, and fussing. Don't tell me that the reason why you went cold slap off was because they didn't sweep the dirt off the kitchen floor. Don't tell me that everybody in the house got cussed out because you left a note saying turn the oven off at 4 o'clock and the meatloaf got burned. Take responsibility for your thoughts and actions. Number 2, you have to identify the negative things that exist in your life and begin to change them. The only person that you have control of is you. So you get to decide. Isn't that part of the serenity prayer? That you'll change the things that you can. You can only change the things that you can change. Stop worrying about everybody else and focus on the reflection in the mirror. Change the things that you can change so that you can begin to transform your life, your attitude, and everything about you in a more positive way. Number 3, you've heard me say before that we have 3 relationships with expectations. We have the expectations that we impose on others, the expectations that we impose upon ourselves, and we have our reactions to expectations that others impose upon us. Let go of the tendency to set expectations too high. I'm not saying don't have expectations, because each of us teaches other people how to treat us. You can have expectations, but be mindful not to set the expectations so high. People make the mistake of setting expectations too high. I told you before, setting expectations too high has been linked to forms of mental illness, particularly depression and anxiety and fractured relationships. So you have to be mature enough and responsible enough, rather than just imposing your expectations on other people and demanding that they do what you say. That's a codependent characteristic trait right there. Instead of demanding that people do what you say, give them space to convey to you whether or not they are willing and able to honor the expectations that you're imposing upon them. Number 4, forgive yourself and others. Dr. Pitts, how you expect me to forget? You're not forgetting them for them, you're forgiving them for you. So many of you are allowing the people that hurt you to live rent-free in your head. It's time to evict some folks. Get them out of there. Serve the eviction notice and get them out. Think about the unforgiveness that you're harboring. It's like you reaching into your wood-burning fireplace and taking out a hot log, but expecting the person that you're upset with to be the one that gets burned. It doesn't work that way. All of the space that you're taking up in your heart, your mind, your spirit, and your soul, harboring unforgiveness and bitterness and resentment and all of that hatefulness, all of that energy could be used towards your ability to pursue and achieve the desires of your heart. I'm not harboring no ill feelings. There are things that people have said and done to me that I didn't like and that certainly cut me deeply, but you know what? You're not living rent-free in here. I got too much stuff to do. I got to go see a man about a dog. I got to go see a man about a horse. I got stamps to get in my passport. I got a husband and kids to love on. I got to go make the donuts and the glaze because I need things that I want to do for my parents and my siblings and my nieces and my nephews and all my peeps. I ain't got time to be bogged down with what you and your wounded self said to me or tried to do to me. It happened. It hurt at the time. I shed my tears. I'm past it. You're not going to hold me captive because of your pain. You're not going to hold me captive because of your ignorance and your insensitivity. That's the Scorpio in me. I refuse to be held captive by another person, place, or thing ever again. I'm not doing it. Forgive them. Release them. Release them. It don't mean you got to deal with them. Some folk you might have to, deny access to you. But release them by forgiving them. Number 5, respond to change. Stop being all, oh my God, Dr. Pitts, change. I want to change. Behavior modification is your friend. It is. Stop resisting change. Be mature enough and responsible enough to acknowledge the changes that you need to make to improve your attitude and the overall quality of your life, and start responding to that change in a way that serves you well, not that keeps you bound. Number 6, keep moving forward. If you're stagnant, you're not growing, you die. And no, you might not die a physical death, but you can certainly die an emotional death. You can end up an emotional quadriplegic. You can end up financially destitute. You can end up jobless and home and all of these other things because you're stuck. You're stuck in a time warp. You're stuck in the grave of your past. You're stuck, you're stuck, you're stuck, you're stuck, you're stuck. You have to move forward so that you can live, so that you can spread your wings and fly. Stop hanging around the chicken coop and the turkey pen. Soar like an eagle. And in order for you to be able to soar like an eagle and to achieve the desires of your heart, you've got to move forward. And number 7, be deliberate and intentional in focusing on the positive. Are you a pessimist or an optimist? Can you find a silver? Look, there is sun and heat in the daggone forecast for the next 10 days. And you go outside and say, I smell rain. I think it's going to be a tornado. I think we're going to have thunderstorms and it's going to be hail and the car's going to get destroyed. What? Why are you focused on the negative? Look, let me tell you something. You're talking to somebody who, my mom used to say to me, if it wasn't for bad luck, you wouldn't have none. Stop saying that. Stop speaking that into my life. I got to a point where I would tell her, don't say that. Do not speak that into my life. Look for the seed of equivalent benefit in every situation and circumstance in your life. Failure is not really failure. It's feedback. It's an alert system to tell you, not this way, not right now, change direction, whatever. When you change the way you look at things, the way things look will change. Stop speaking negativity into your life. Dr. Fish, you just don't understand. It's always something. Law of attraction. Law of circulation. Start speaking life into your situations and circumstances instead of death. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be aggravated and just sick and tired of being sick and tired, but don't stay there mentally. Don't. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. And if you can't figure it out for yourself, I'll teach you how to align yourself with partners in believing that have the ability to not be moved or fazed by the adversity that you're experiencing in your life, and that can help you to see greater options and greater opportunity for more and different and better in every area of your life. But you have to choose to focus on positive. Does anybody have any questions for me? Any questions? Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. Remember this, folks. You can always send me your questions ahead of time. You can email me through my website, drlaurendpitts.com. You can DM me, inbox me. You can reach out. If you have a question that you want me to address during the live, just ask me. I won't acknowledge that it was you who sent it unless you tell me that it's okay to do that. Or you can type questions directly into the chat during the live, and I will do my level best to answer your question based on my clinical expertise and based on my personal experience and my own healing trajectory. A wealth of knowledge here. A wealth of knowledge. I don't say that to be grandiose or narcissistic, but the reality of it is that I've learned some very, very valuable lessons in life, many of which I learned the hard way. And then some of them I learned because of wisdom. I learned how to confront this sentence. I'm sure many of you have heard people say experience is a good teacher. And so it is. Wisdom is having the sense to learn from other people's mistakes. You do not have to make them all yourself. I choose wisdom over experience any day. You all have a good night. Share with your family and friends the Dr. Pitts Live every Thursday at 7 o'clock. I know that I'm sharing information that somebody connected to you, not just you, can benefit from during these lives. Tell your family members, tell your friends, tune in next Thursday because we're going to chop it up again. Have your question. I like questions. Ask me questions. Ask me questions. Ask me questions. But until then, I got to go make somebody well. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.